In this video, we're going to go over why a logo for your plumbing business actually matters, what you need to know to make sure it helps bring in more customers, and how to avoid some costly mistakes along the way. And the reason this matters is your logo is often the first thing your customers see. So we want something that actually helps your plumbing business, not something that hurts it. Before we get into what makes a good or bad logo, it's worth understanding why this actually matters in the first place. A lot of the decisions customers make happen very quickly, often within a split second, and in that moment your customer's brain and nervous system is making a judgment. Their brain is essentially asking, does this business look safe and trustworthy? That decision making process exists across everything your customers can see: your van, your website, and your logo. Because two businesses can offer the exact same service, but the one that looks more professional is usually the one people trust first. You might have 20 years of plumbing experience with no branding, and at the same time someone with only 2 years of experience but a great logo, a wrapped van, and clean uniforms with a logo can come across as the business that's been around longer and is more trustworthy. It's not always fair, but it's how our psychology works and how customers naturally make decisions. Therefore, you don't want someone to feel nervous and stressed about your business before you've even had the chance to speak to them. So getting this right isn't about design, it's about whether your customers feel stress that leads them to hesitation, or confidence and trust that leads them to reaching out. Your logo isn't just something that sits on a website, it shows up across your entire business. On your van, on your uniform, on your website, your Google business profile, your social media, even things like invoices and quotes. So it needs to work in all of those places, not just look good in one situation, but still be clear, readable, and professional whenever someone sees it. Because every one of those places is another moment where someone is forming an impression of your business. And one thing that's easy to overlook, a logo might look great on something big like a van or a website, but what happens when you need to use it in different formats? On your uniform, invoices, and your business card. A lot of logos don't hold up in those situations. They're too detailed, too thin, or just not designed to scale properly. So this isn't just about getting something that looks good today, it's about making sure your logo holds up and gets used in different ways as your business grows. Most plumbing business logos fall into a few of the most common styles, so let's quickly run through some of the ones you'll typically see. First, you've got wordmark logos. This is where the logo is just your business name in a styled font. These are simple, clean, and tend to work well for local businesses, although they're typically more complicated to make work depending on the name of the business. This is one of the most popular type of logo in the world, although used less commonly by plumbing businesses. Next up, you've got logos that combine text with an icon. This is probably the most common style you'll see for plumbing businesses. These icons include things like wrenches, pipes, water drops, or houses alongside the name. These work well because they're clear and straight to the point, and they give you flexibility because you can use the icon on its own when needed. They're very reusable logos and handy across the different mediums you'll need them for. Another example is cartoon or mascot style logos. These usually include a plumber character or something more playful like a water drop with a face or an animal to represent the brand. These are more common in the US and can work well if they're done properly. They can make your branding more memorable and more personable to customers as they're playful, bright, and fun. And just like we respond with trust to seeing human faces and expressions, that effect also works in a similar way for mascots and cartoon characters. If they're overdone or poorly designed though, they can make a business look a bit amateur, which is one of the drawbacks of this type of logo. However, when they're done well, they stand out the most in terms of branding, catching attention, and being memorable to your customers on assets like your website and van as it's driven around town. But these types of logos usually require logo and brand designer with experience in that style, as there can be a lot of effort that goes into getting the character right and the branding consistent across different assets. Now, on the other side, there are also some common mistakes you'll see with logos, and these are the ones you generally want to avoid. Things like overly complex designs, logos with too many elements overlapping, very thin lines that don't show up properly when printed, 3D style logos, heavy gradients, especially things like gold effects, and a lot of AI generated logos that haven't really been thought through properly. A lot of these things might look good at first glance, but they don't hold up when you actually try to use them across your business. They become harder to read, harder to print, and hard to trust. When it comes to choosing a style of logo for your business, none of the recommended styles are right or wrong on their own. What matters is choosing something that works for your business and holds up in all the places you'll actually use it. So now that you've got an idea of the style you like, the next step is understanding what to consider when creating a logo for your own plumbing business. The next step is understanding what you should consider for your own business before getting a logo made. The first thing is where your logo is actually going to be used. On your uniform, your van, your website, your social media, invoices, all of it. Because that's going to dictate how your logo needs to be designed. It needs to be simple enough to print clearly and still look good at different sizes. Simplicity. This is where a lot of businesses start off wrong. They start off with a shiny and cheap looking logo from a free online logo generator. More detailed and complicated logos might look good on the screen and are easy to come up with, but they usually don't hold up when you try to use them across your business. Simple and bold logos are almost always going to be the ones that perform best long term. The next thing to think about is color. Color plays a big role in how people recognize and trust your business. Most plumbing businesses stick to colors people already associate with the trade. That actually has the most benefits to you, as your customers subconsciously recognize what you do and fit you into that safe and definitely what they're looking for box straight away. These colors are typically blues, reds, sometimes oranges or whites, because they instantly signal what you do and make you recognizable. You can use other colors, but you need to be more intentional with how you use them, and typically at that point you want to be taking that leap with a professional logo designer, not on your own. So when you're thinking about your logo, it's not just about how it looks, it's about whether it actually works across your business in different formats and is easy for people to recognize long term. There are a few common places businesses get their logos that are suitable for different budgets. This is also where a lot of businesses get stuck in the process. Most people know they need a good logo and they want one, but they don't really know what to look for, where to find the right person, or what to actually ask for. So let's look at the different options you've got when it comes to getting a logo made. The first option is Fiverr. This is usually the cheapest option with the least predictable quality. You can get a logo done for anywhere between about £10 to £100. The main advantage is cost. It's cheap, but the downside is the quality can be very inconsistent, and in a lot of cases you're only getting one basic version of the logo in one downloadable format, not something that will set you up for different use cases. The next option is using something like Upwork. This is usually a step up in quality. You can properly screen the freelancers you choose and their portfolio, which is a massive plus, and you're typically looking at around £100 to £1,000 depending on the designer and how much you want to spend. The main advantage is better quality and more flexibility, but the downside is you still need to choose carefully because results can vary and it's on you to find the right freelancer. And lastly, you've got agencies. This is the most expensive option, usually anywhere from £500 up to a few £1,000s. The main advantage is a more structured process and a higher level of thinking that's more tailored to your business long term. But in most cases, that level of depth is better for businesses like e-commerce brands that rely heavily on design and the overall feel of their brand. Whereas for a local plumbing business, the main goal is simply to look clear, trustworthy, and professional. So the biggest drawback in this case is cost, and for many plumbing businesses starting out, it's often overkill for what they actually need. However, once your business is more established, working with a reputable agency that has experience with local businesses can be a great way to take your branding to the next level. Which option makes sense for you really comes down to your budget and the position you're currently at with your plumbing business. Now, a quick bonus that can save you a lot of time, money, and frustration and help you actually end up with a logo you're happy with is this. Regardless of which option you choose, the biggest factor in getting a good result is how prepared you are going in. If you don't have any direction, no colors, no examples of what you like, you're basically asking someone to guess what you want. And that usually leads to more revisions, more time, and a mediocre result. Whereas if you come in prepared with references, colors, and a clear idea of what you want, you'll get a better, more refined result, faster, and usually for less money as well. So a bit of preparation up front makes a massive difference to the end result. Therefore, to recap, your logo is often the first impression your business gives to a customer. It needs to work across everything: your van, your uniform, your website, and other assets. And the best logos are usually the ones that are simple, clear, and easy to recognize. And if you take the time to think it through properly from the start, you avoid a lot of problems later on. This video is part of the free A to Z plumbing business series where we're building everything step by step. So in the next video, we'll move on to your Google business profile and start turning this into something that actually helps you get customers to your plumbing business. So drop a like and subscribe to see more of the series. Real quick before you go, if you're a plumber and you'd rather focus on running your business instead of figuring out all of this stuff yourself, this is exactly what we do. Over the past few years, we've helped businesses bring in thousands of leads and put systems in place that bring in new customers on autopilot. So if you want to save yourself the headache of trying to figure all of this stuff out on your own, we can handle the whole process for you. If that sounds like something your plumbing business would benefit from, you can book a free discovery call using the link in our description. On that call, we'll take a look at your business, your current marketing, and show you what opportunities you might be missing. And if we think we can help, we'll show you exactly how to move forward. Check the link down below to book your free discovery call.